Welcome to the Women's Roadmap to Retirement webinar. Bill and I are so happy that you've joined us this evening. Today there is a new, independent, financially secure, and empowered woman out in the world, and it's you. You have goals and dreams and desires. You have a family that you want to share all of those things with. And regardless of what stage of life that you're in, you have a purpose and you have things that you want to do. And in order to do those things, you deserve a financially secure retirement. And that's why we're here tonight. If you are a woman who has goals and dreams, then you are in the right place. If you're a woman who already has a 401k or a retirement plan, or you're in the market, you're in the right place. If you don't know what to do and you haven't done anything, you're still in the right place. Maybe you feel lost and confused, and maybe you feel like you're at a particular stage where it's too late, but it's not. And that's why we wanted to talk to you tonight. Bill, you are in the financial services industry and you've been there for just a minute or two. Why don't you share our story with us and why you wanted to become a financial advisor?
Well, now you're really going to date me, aren't you? A long time ago, I thought I wanted to be an attorney, and I checked it out for a year or two and found out that wasn't really what I thought I wanted to be. I didn't think I could help people that much. And, you know, I had a aunt and uncle that lived not too far from us. My folks were not very wealthy. In fact, jeans. I remember Lee jeans. Lee jeans were $5 back in those days.
Yeah.
And now they're $100 or something like that. At any rate, Foremost was made by Pennies, and they were $2.50. My parents wanted me to get the $2.50 jeans.
But you wanted to look cool.
I wanted to look cool because everybody else,
a
lot of the boys were wearing Lee jeans. At any rate, so I didn't come up in a wealthy family. My aunt and uncle lived down the street from me, and they worked very hard for their money. But the point of the story is my uncle died early, in his early 60s, and my aunt lived far beyond that. And she eventually ran out of money, even though they saved. They were very, very conservative people, and they saved their money. Mm-hmm. But she did run out of money. Women live longer than men, and she lived for about 25 years longer than Jim did. So I want to be able to help people at least understand that there's other options so that they won't run out of money.
I love that story because it tells people where you came from. But here's a question. When is the last time you had a pair of Lee jeans on?
You know, I own 3 pairs of jeans, and my daughters both, they got me the jeans. If I paint, I step in paint or something, I'm not too...
You're klutzy.
I'm klutzy. I can take computers apart, and I do what I do very well, but
not
good with no.
Okay. So it's been my experience, and I'm sure yours too, that women feel like they've just generally been left out of the financial industry. I'm sure that's for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons we wanted to do this webinar is to make women feel comfortable. And I want to read some statistics here. Money was something that men managed. I mean, you go back in time into my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, and men were the ones that handled the money. But
That's
what
right.
was interesting was women seemed to make the decisions, and they still do. But 60% of women don't feel comfortable with their financial future. That means most of you listening have some level of stress or worry attached to whether everything is okay in your portfolio, or even if you have one. And that means that most of you are worrying about how the unknown is going to affect your retirement. And the unknowns can be, are you going to be a caretaker for your aging parents? What is your health going to be like? You know, we don't know how long we're going to live, but statistically, women do live quite a bit longer than men.
7 to 8 years longer, yes.
Yeah. Women hold 71% of their assets in cash, which means they are not investing to build wealth. Women, on average, retire with 2/3 the money that men do.
That's right. That's sad.
Women are 80% more likely to be impoverished in retirement. 80%. 49% of women fear ending up homeless. 90% of women believe they need to be more involved in financial strategies, but don't know where to start. 44% of American women over the age of 62 are widowed, single, or divorced. Only 12% of women are very confident in their ability to comfortably retire. That means, of course, if I do the math correctly, and you're better at math than I am, 88% of women aren't.
That's right.
53% of women plan to retire after the age of 65 or not at all. And only 1/3 of women use a professional financial advisor like yourself. Now that's a lot, but let's talk about some of those statistics. I know that you have all kinds of people in your portfolio. You have families, and you have women, and you have men, and you have small businesses, physicians. Why do you think, or what do you think is the most common misperception out there?
Well, the biggest misconception is that people don't know that there's other options available to them. I did a talk with some employees of a Fortune 500 company, and they were all blue-collar workers. I had 50 of them in a group, and I stood up and spoke for about an hour and a half on different options that were available for them. I knew where their money was. I knew it was in stocks, mainly stocks. Very, very few mutual funds. And I talked to them for about an hour, and at the end of the talk, I stood up and I said, okay, any questions? And nobody out of all these people had any questions. And I said, come on, guys, I've been talking for an hour. Surely somebody has some questions. And this tall guy, 6'6", 6'8", stood up in the back of the room, and he said, Bill, we didn't know anything like these other options existed. All we knew about was you put your money in this thing and this 401k and stocks, and you'll retire with a lot of money. We didn't know there was any such thing as guarantees and not guarantees, and you've brought a lot of light to this tunnel for us and given us a lot to think about, and we've all got questions, so I was there for 3.5 hours answering the questions. Another thing, quite a while ago, I watched a 60-minute piece, and that one was interesting. This lady was 58 or 59 years old, and she was being interviewed by a man from 60 Minutes, and he was asking her why she was crying, and she said, well, my 401k dropped 30%, and I'm retired, and I don't know what to do now because I can't afford to lose that kind of money. It was my retirement. It was all I had. And now I'm going to have to go out and get another job. She wasn't blaming the company necessarily, but nobody told her about other options.
Yeah. That's sad when you hear stories like that.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. There are obviously unique retirement risks involved for women, and I want to talk about 6 of them. The first one is market risk. Obviously, no one can predict the market, and let's face it, age can be a factor when you're in the market. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we already talked about women living longer, 7 to 8, I think 8 years longer than men. And then there's, in the market, if the market drops 10% doesn't get you back to even. So that takes time, and time means you're getting older and older and older as you go along. So if you lose in the market 10 or 12% of your funds, then you've got to wait for those funds to get back to even. And I have some instruments that while you're waiting to get back to even, I'm still making a little bit of money. Not a lot, but a little bit. So my instruments have really no downside risk, not because I'm so smart, but because the company's guaranteed by contract no downside risk and no management fees. That saves some money. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't diversify, but you should also know a little bit for today what you're going to have tomorrow for retirement. The instruments I use give you those options.
Well, also, wouldn't you agree that somebody in my age bracket, you would give different advice than somebody in their 30s?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More time.
More. Thank
More
you.
time.
Yeah, thank you for that. And outliving your income. We talked a little bit about that. Women still live longer than men. Women are still the primary caretaker in their families.
That's right.
So there's some unique risks there, aren't there?
There are. You can go to a grocery store or offices and see people that could have retired or did retire, and they need more money, just not enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll talk about inflation, but that has a little bit to do with it. But they didn't put enough money away, or they lost some money in the market, or they helped the kids. Something came up that they didn't plan on, emergency, medical bills. My mom and dad needed help. Nursing home costs. I mean, it goes on and on. And if they plan properly, they can allow for those things. But still, we need to get into some type of guarantee. So we'll know what we'll have. If we invest $1, are we going to get $1 and a nickel, or are we going to get 90 cents back? That's what's important.
Absolutely. Earnings and Social Security. Now that's a topic.
It is.
Who knows how long Social Security will last? I just became a new grandma, and I wonder if Social Security will be around for the rest of my lifetime, let alone his.
Congratulations on the grandmother. Social Security, I've heard people say, gosh, I can't wait until I'm 62 to be able to take my Social Security. And by waiting just a few more years, they'll get 25% more money. It's about 8% or a little over 8%. I'm not sure of the formula. But between ages 62 and 65 or 67, that's 25% more that they would get if they could just wait that long. And if they can't, they can't. If they need the money, they need the money.
Your company has the ability to do an analysis for people on Social Security, do you not?
We do. Yes. My website, even your website, has software that can do an analysis. It guarantees them $15,000 in lifetime benefits, and if they can't find that, if the software can't find that for them, then there's no charge. And on your website and mine, there's a button, Robin 100. It'll discount it by $100, and I'm not sure the cost, but it's like if they use that discount, it's like $150 if we found them more money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I think Social Security is another one of those things that, of course, the government doesn't want you to know about those benefits that might be in place that you could take advantage of. So it's nice to get another opinion based on that to see, because that's your money. You've been contributing to it all these years.
That's right.
Inflation. Especially after this last year, what will things look like? It's
Right.
anybody's guess right now.
It is. Nobody can really predict it. They have
No.
formulas, all kinds of formulas, and I've always believed that in 15, 20 more years, inflation is going to be up by 10%. But that's just a guess. But certainly inflation's going up. Gas prices change, groceries prices change.
Yeah.
All of that changes.
Jeans prices change.
Yeah, jean prices change. Oh gosh, yes. They are a lot more expensive than they were a couple of days ago.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Medical long-term risk is another unique retirement risk for women. Again, getting older is the goal, but are we taking care of other people? Do we need long-term care benefits? What does that look like? What is our health going to be? Those are all decisions that are really difficult to make without hindsight.
We're living longer.
Yeah.
Medicine's getting so advanced that we're all living a lot longer. And nursing home, the average stay in a nursing home is 2 years. And that's so expensive.
Yeah. What is the average? About $5,000 a month now?
Oh, it's $5,000 to $8,000 a month.
Depending
And
upon what part of the country you're living in.
my mother had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And they had a special unit, and they still do, at this very nice nursing home that she was in. And we ended up selling her house. Dad had died, selling the house to pay for the nursing home. That money ran out, and then us kids had to pay for the nursing home.
Yeah.
But it gets expensive, and your inflation's kicking in again for nursing home costs. So
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah, it goes by in a hurry.
It does.
And then last but not least, your favorite topic, tax risk.
oh, taxes, yeah. Right now we're currently in the lowest tax bracket we've been in for many years, but that's going to change now that there's new administration there. The lifetime benefits are going to drop. They're at 11.8 million right now for a husband and 11.8 for the wife. That's going to probably drop substantially. A write-off for you for lifetime benefits, and that's probably going to drop. And I don't know the number, but the talk is $1 million to $2 million. That's a huge drop. Tax brackets are going to go up. Well, I specialize in tax-free instruments. So the money you put away for retirement, you don't have to really worry about taxes because there are none. It grows tax-free. Whereas a 401 or a 401 or 403B or IRAs, you haven't paid the taxes on it. Depending upon when you retire, you're going to pay taxes. Chances are the taxes are going to go up substantially more than what they are now. If you're going to retire in 10 years, it's going to be higher than what it is now, probably.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we have a little bit of a problem. Our director has told me in my ear that I never introduced myself. Oops. So I'll take a moment to do that now. My name is Robin Hesselgesser, and I spend most of my time as an advocate, as a coach for women, helping them be most authentic in every area of their life. And part of the reason I wanted to do this webinar is because of my own story. I grew up in a very successful and entrepreneurial business-like family. It was third generation GM dealership in Grand Island, Nebraska. And but my parents divorced when I was 10. And so as I was growing up, I saw two very different households almost. My dad and paternal grandparents made decisions based on what they wanted to do, but my mom and maternal grandparents made decisions based on what they couldn't do. And then I went to school and learned nothing about money. And even while I was growing up, both sides, we didn't talk about savings or retirement, none of that. Nobody taught me how to even balance a checking account. And I certainly didn't learn that in high school or college. And then when I got married, my husband had no interest in that. We didn't have one conversation about what retirement was going to look like, what we were going to do. We were just trying to get by day to day.
Sure.
And then I became divorced and I became an entrepreneur. And by accident, I found myself somewhere in my 50s going, shit, I'm not prepared and I'm ill-equipped.
Let me interrupt there.
Okay.
You're
That's
an accomplished artist. You've written several books and you're an accomplished coach. That's doing very well.
No, I appreciate all of that, and I'm very blessed, and I love what I do. But I wasn't good at what you do. Look, I love decor and I love design and I love artwork. But if I were going to build a home today, I wouldn't do so without a blueprint, and I wouldn't have a blueprint unless I hired an architect to help my dreams, my wants and needs, and my vision come to reality.
That's right.
So that's why people, including myself, need to see and talk to somebody like you, because you're well versed in what you do and I'm well versed in what I do. And I've got to believe that a lot of women feel like I do. And I want to say that even if you're scared and even if you feel like it's too late, it isn't. And even as an entrepreneur, I feel like I had fewer options than I did when I was working in the corporate world. When I worked in the corporate world, I did have access to a 401k, and my employer did participate. Although it was pittance, it was something. But that brings me to a point. I remember you telling the story of how 401ks came to be. Please share.
Well, many years ago, in the 70s, 60s, and before that, large companies, Fortune 500 companies, had pension plans. And the pension plans, they'd say, Robin, when you retire, we'll pay you X amount of dollars and give you your gold watch, and you'll be set for the rest of your life. But pension plans, the companies had to do smart investing. And if they lost money, it came out of the stockholders' pocket, and they didn't like that. So they got together after a number of years of doing that and said, there's got to be another way, Mr. Congressman and Mr. Senator. What can we do? So they got their minds together and they kind of switched the tables. They put the onus on the employee, where the employee had to make the calls on what to pick for the investments. Now, some of these companies have people there that will help them make suggestions, or they can read several books and figure out, well, this one will do this and this. But the problem was, and they're very careful about this, if Robin calls John Doe at the company and John says, well, get into this stock and this fund and this bond fund, and it goes down, you're going to blame him because you didn't know anything about it. You're looking for some advice and he gave it to you. But he's held harmless from that.
Right.
So here comes and that's the birth of the 401, the IRA, and the 403B. So they flipped the onus on from them, their risk, to you. You don't have anybody unless you hire somebody. They'll charge you a fee, and they'll tell you where and why, hopefully, why you should put your money in this fund versus that fund.
Bill, how can people reach out to you? I'm told you have a website.
I do. It's called maxtaxfreeretirement.com.
Okay. And your phone number is 402-281-3567. I also understand that you have a YouTube channel. Look at you being in this 2021.
Crazy.
I know, right?
Where money grows.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in there you give little tips about maybe what's going on and what people should look forward to.
And options that they can have, yeah.
So you and I have a mutual client, which is kind of cool, and her name is Mary, and I've done several custom paintings for her.
You have.
And she came to you because she's worked for the railroad for how long? Like a long time.
18 years.
Yeah. And because of the pandemic and because of the volatility of everything that we experienced the last year, she's feeling rather uncertain.
About her job.
Yeah, how long is she going to be employed? What's that going to look like? Is she set up? So you're helping her through that process right now.
Yeah. Mary, not unlike a lot of people, she doesn't have any advisor.
Yeah.
She'll ask people in the HR department where she might put her money, and they don't know.
Right.
And she hasn't done badly, really, for herself, but she's, as you mentioned, she's concerned about the company being around in 5 years. She's still pretty young.
She is.
What a nice lady, but
Oh, she's so nice.
she saves every penny.
She's single.
She's single.
But guess what she does? She is that maternal figure of her family. I think she and I are the same age-ish.
She's a couple of years younger.
Oh,
than you.
whatever.
Sorry.
Okay, age-ish.
Yeah.
But she is, she's worried about taking care of everybody else.
She is. She's concerned about her mom and dad are dead,
Yeah.
but she has a couple of brothers and a sister, and they've got some health issues.
Right.
And they don't have any kids. No one has children. So she's concerned about their health. She's had serious health problems that she's had taken care of. Fortunately, she came out very well.
Mm-hmm.
But she's a saver. She doesn't have a whole lot of debt. She went back to school and got her degree. She has a student loan that's $35,000,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a camper, a very nice camper. She likes to go camping.
Yeah.
Pickup, and her car's paid for. Pickup isn't, the camper isn't, but she doesn't owe much on them.
Yeah.
And the house, she doesn't owe a lot on her home. Her home's very nice.
Yeah, it is. It is.
She really loved those paintings. you did.
Yeah, I enjoy doing those paintings for her. So I did a little undercover work.
Oh boy,
Are you nervous?
a little.
Okay. I reached out to one of your clients for some feedback.
Oh.
And this is what she said, and I'm quoting. I was scared. I was alone. I felt guilty and embarrassed about my situation. I felt inadequate and kind of stupid when it came to money. But Bill made me feel heard and understood. He listened and said the past didn't matter. It was what I did from this moment on that would be important. Even in 2008, when everything went upside down, I didn't lose a penny. I know exactly what I will have when I retire. Plus, I have access to my money as part of my income. I feel safe and secure. I am grateful that he has been my advisor.
Who sent you that?
Kathy,
Oh, she's so nice.
wasn't that nice?
Very nice, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you did for Kathy.
Kathy was a teacher, and she needed to make a little more money from teaching. She'd been doing it about 15 years, getting tired of it, wanted to switch, so she went and worked for a bank and enjoyed that a lot. And so then she had 2 retirement plans to pull down from, both IRAs, because they were 401s, and when you retire, they become IRAs, legally called IRAs. She'd lost some money in the market.
Okay.
Again, the market went down. It did a correction, and she lost a lot of money. Actually, to me, it was a lot of money, and to her, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Her husband had died. The kids were gone, and so we came up with a plan for her to where she'd lose no more money ever, and she'd get decent returns. And not because I'm smart or anything, but because the contracts of the companies I use guarantee the preservation of principal always. So she didn't lose any money. We also started up a tax-free plan for her. She hasn't pulled any money out of that I'm aware of. But when she wants to, she's pulling an income off her retirement, her qualified plans that we set up for, and she's just putting more money into that tax-free. She has some extra money, so she puts it in there.
One of the things that I think sets you apart is that you don't charge management fees, correct?
No, there's no management fees.
Which, if I understand things correctly, most people don't even know what they're paying in management fees if they are with a large brokerage firm.
Well, any brokerage firm. If you buy John Deere stock, as an example, you pay the firm 1%, 1.25%. Plus, if they buy and sell a stock for you, pay their commissions there. But the management fees, they don't have to show you by law, and those run anywhere from, according to Forbes, anywhere from 3 to 5% additional that you don't see.
Wow.
It
That
gets
adds up in a hurry.
Yeah, it does. Well, especially if the market goes the other way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, do you know what is still the number one thing that most couples fight about?
Money.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Because they haven't got enough of it, I guess.
Well, that could certainly be one of the reasons,
Yeah.
but I think it's because they're not on the same page. You know, somebody has different priorities.
That's true.
Some of my clients have arguments because he just came home with, it's interesting, I'll be at an art show and she'll say, I'm going to buy that and I'm not going to ask him because he just came home with a new fishing pole, or whatever the case may be. I think that they're not always on the same page, and the priorities might be different.
That's true.
But I know one of the things that you do and that you really like to do is help a family kind of create that plan so that they are on the same page.
A track to run on.
Yeah, so that they are on the same page. One of the things that I wanted to bring awareness to is that women were much more affected by the pandemic, 33% more affected. And there's some reasons for that, but women are more apt to be employed in the service industries, and boy did those take a hit. Restaurants,
They did.
Travel industries. And women are more apt to be in the healthcare industry, and they've been on the front line, but they were severely impacted, both from an unemployment standpoint and from trying to balance everything, taking care of everything and everyone. We want to acknowledge those women today and thank them for all that they've done, and to let them know that there is help and there is support, and that's why we did this webinar today.
That's right.
You can find Bill on his website, maxtaxfreeretirement.com. You can call him at 402-281-3567. You can reach out to me on my website, rjhusselgesser.com. And at the link at the bottom of this webinar is a place where you can actually go in and schedule a complimentary consultation with Bill.
That's right.
And he will spend as much time as it takes getting to know you, understanding the goals and the dreams that you have for your family, for your life, and help you with a plan to get there. Thank you again for joining us this evening.